Rohit, what do you got for us today?
Great. So yeah, I'll keep us moving from a great set of demos, questions, discussions. I'm sure we'll have a lot of those taken up during the course of the rest of our discussion. But I'll keep us moving to the next section. Hi everyone, my name is Rohit Jain. I'm a product manager in Microsoft Teams Engineering Org. Nice to meet everyone. Now, as most of you may already know, there's enough research out there to suggest that to be and I think we touched upon some of this in the earlier part, where to be able to enact those meaningful change in your organization through transformation, through digital initiatives, I think it's critical for business leaders to address those needs from a learning, well-being, engagement perspective. And some of these aspects, I'm sure, would be central to your respective org strategy to ensure that employees are able to contribute their best when all of us are trying to navigate the different challenges of how we live, how we work, and how we relate to others, right? Especially in a hybrid context. And Microsoft Teams plays a significant enabler in some of those objectives, right? Microsoft Teams enables you and your employees to enable through unique and compelling scenarios right in the flow of work. And how is that? Through apps that can gamify team meetings, help break the ice. Let's say you have a set of new joiners coming in, break the ice between the new joiners and existing employees to get the bonding started through apps that create and automate simple but important workflows, let's say reminders, right? So that everyone in the team knows when it is someone's special day through apps that runs quizzes, polls. We have a couple running in this meeting itself, gathering feedback to make every meeting highly engaging and productive and through the apps that help you learn together in a social context. And we have one of that as a demo lined up next. And all of these apps, they appeal to different employees and different personas across an organization, right? From project teams to leadership teams to sales teams. And I think Chandigarh touched upon this. They're very horizontal in nature. Apps like Breakthrough, Waybox, Send Steps, Remind, Wakelet, Bcast, Kunjani, they are some of the popular apps in this segment. And today we have Hans Zitzman, CEO of Kunjani, on this call to tell you a bit more about how Kunjani app in Microsoft Teams brings some of these scenarios to life and creates really rich meeting experiences. With that, Hans, over to you.
Thank you, Rohit. Give me 1 second to get my presentation up.
Good to see you again, Hans.
Likewise. So yeah, as mentioned, my name is Hans Sitzman. I'm a co-founder and CEO at Kunjani, and I'm really excited to share with you what we are doing with our Microsoft Teams integration. So in short, Kunjani enhances Microsoft Teams meetings with gamification used to upskill, onboard, and engage hybrid teams. Can I get a confirmation that my visuals are
Yes.
showing on your
Yes.
end?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, so to start, I'd like to introduce you to VJ, sitting in the corner here. And VJ is frequently required to attend online meetings and training, and his heart sinks every time. The sessions are boring, Zoom fatigue deluxe. And in South Africa, where I'm from, VJ would say, I'm full of the endless PowerPoints, or I'm fed up of the endless PowerPoints. So typically he turns his video off and he goes for a coffee. Meet Shanti, the facilitator. She's required to do all her sessions online. She does try and make it interesting, but talking to an audience that's mostly switched off without any feedback makes her feel as though she may as well be talking to a blank wall, and she hates it. So I think the reality is that Shanti and Vijay are not alone. I'm sure at some point, all of us have been subjected to boring meeting, awkward onboarding process, or a dull learning session. Until now, there hasn't really been a plug-and-play solution to overcome this. Fortunately for Shanti, she found the Kunjani app on Microsoft Teams, and I'd like to demo her workflow for her next leadership training workshop. Yeah, so inside her Teams meeting, she can quickly add an app. Obviously, she's going to add Kunjani and can conveniently, with one click, sign in with Microsoft single sign-on. She's going to search her private library for a customized leadership deck and save that. When she's ready, share Kunjani to the center stage, where there's now an interactive game dashboard for everybody in the presentation area. Now, as the attendees join this meeting, Kunjani will automatically fetch their names from their team's ID and populate the leaderboard in the game. Shanti is going to now randomly assign everybody to 2 different teams. And just for fun, we can rename those teams. Apologies to any Delhi Capital fans for my spelling mistake there. Okay, so we've got Delhi Capitals versus CSK, and I am going to zoom in to the dashboard and give you a brief overview of how the game works. In a second, Shanti is going to ask one of the participants to roll the dice. The dice is going to land on one of the suit characters that you see bottom right. Each of these have been genetically modified to accelerate learning by stimulating different parts of the brain. So let's take a brief dive into what each of them entail. So starting with the demonstrate, which is active learning or learning by doing. Next, we have the jolt, which is rapid recall and quick thinking. The advance deals with positive reinforcement, whereas the dreaded blups deals with commonly made mistakes. The explain will dive deeper with higher order questions. And lastly, the mystery is a fun, creative task. So without further ado, let's kick the game off by asking James to roll the dice. You'll notice that his name turns yellow. And what I would like to do now is transfer to James's iPad and see what the experience looks like for him. On his end, he'll receive a pop-up notification asking him to roll the dice. He's going to roll that dice. And they've landed on a demonstrate. So everyone can now see the activity that needs to be completed by the Delhi Capitals. And in this case, show how you would deal with a new team member on his or her first day. Let's transition back to Sarah's PC. On her end, she's now going to start a countdown timer for everybody, for the Delhi Capitals to prepare and present their response to this activity. So let's get my countdown timer is not started. While that time is ticking, Sarah has access to her notes and a suggested response here. Sorry, Shanti, not Sarah today. And this is to guide her and help guide the discussion in the right direction. Once the time is up and the demonstration skit is over, she could optionally then reveal this response to everybody else in the room. But for now, we're going to minimize this suggested response and move on to the built-in assessment rubric. She feels that the Delhi Capitals are worthy of 3 points for master. We're going to save that. And now those 3 points will reflect on the leaderboard. And the gamified environment really does bring the meeting space to life.
Hans, this looks great. This looks like both a lot of fun as well as a little bit of getting the competitive juices flowing, right? So I think that's a good mix. Just curious, how easy is it for somebody to create their own deck, right? You mentioned you have a private library and a public library. If somebody wants to maybe create a specific deck for their own needs or for their own team, how can they do that?
Thanks, Rohit. So rather than explain, I would like to show you what that experience would look like. So let's wind the clock back and see how Shanti prepared for this leadership session. So zooming into the Kunjani app, the library tab inside of Microsoft Teams. Here we're looking at the public library where Shanti can scroll through and see if there's potentially a matching plug-and-play deck that might actually work for her session. So she's going to filter here for leadership using the built-in filters and she can see that there is actually a foundation leadership deck that might work for her. So let's dive in and take a look. She's going to edit a copy of this deck for herself. And now she can preview all the activities as they're going to appear in the meeting itself. So she can skip through, have a read through what some of the questions are, what the suggested answers are. But what's really cool is she can add her own activities. So as an example, we're going to add a new demonstrate question. And what we provide is a drop-down of great question starters that really accelerates the development process and ensures that you're asking great questions. So in this case, show how you're going to deal with a new, and then all Shanti has to do is complete the question. Then she can add a suggested response, possibly adjust the time needed to respond to this question. And then optionally, she can also enrich that card by dragging and dropping in some media like an image, or also embedding a video that the participants might need to watch. We can save that. And just like that, Shanti has a customized deck ready to play in her next session.
This looks great. Hans, quick question. Any feedback that you have gotten from customers who have used Kunjani on how using Kunjani in meetings has transformed their meeting experiences? Any feedback or data or any insights that you can share with us?
Yeah, so thank you. So it's been well documented in learning sciences research that emotions make learning stick. And our assumption is that Kunjani's gamified environment would provoke these emotions. So we worked with one of our customers who happens to be Africa's leading food service franchisor. And each year they launch a food safety awareness campaign to reach their 2,800 restaurants. And last year, this was delivered in a, I want to say, traditional lecture format. And for this year, we designed a custom Kunjani deck on allergen awareness. So what we then did is we took all the meeting recordings from both options and we ran it through a engagement analytics software that uses machine learning algorithms to analyze facial expressions and natural language processing. And so we could create a sort of traditional lecture format versus Kunjani format. So some of the key takeaways that we gathered from this analysis was the significant decrease in neutral emotions for meeting attendees. And happiness was by far the biggest winner. Then we were also not surprised to see that attendee talk time inside the meeting increased from 15% to 60% in the meeting. So that translates to a 300% increase in attendee engagement in the meeting. So to summarize, Kunjani can be used for so much more than just an icebreaker in your meeting. I would like to share a deck with you that highlights how some of our influential customers have entrusted Kunjani to frame and drive their brand campaigns. I think on your end, if you click on this button, it should allow you to download the deck. Otherwise, I think one of my colleagues might drop some links in the chat.
Yeah, you are using PowerPoint Live, so it should work. You should be able to just click those buttons. Yeah.
Thank you. Then for everybody in the meeting now, we've created a special offer unique to you guys. So that's a 50% discount for all your team members' subscriptions. The link is valid for 2 weeks. So please take advantage of that. Otherwise, if you would like to book a demo, book someone from our team to come and do a live Kunjani session with your team members, there's an opportunity. Fill out the form and we can arrange that for you. And then lastly, Kunjani starts free. So everybody here, I've got a deep link to add Kunjani, you can add Kunjani to your team's account and play around with it for yourself.
Hey, Radhi, I see you've got a hand raised. Radhi, I had a question for you saying, can we try Kunjani in our next happy hour? But you can ask your question first.
No, absolutely, we can do that. I actually had a question more for Rohit. This was like a fantastic experience and demo. Firstly, like thank you to the Kunjani team for that. I know Rohit leads our apps engagement and learning and development work stream, right? So a question was, a lot of customers here today may have existing platforms, or they might be even looking for new ones like Kunjani. So Kunjani is a great one to try out. It's free and we've got amazing offers. But what about if they already have like a standard LMS, for example, that they use? Like, how do you integrate those into teams? Do we have those integrations available? How does it work?
So maybe Hans, can I defer this to you based on, I know we work with various customers and some of them have their own LMS, some of them look for something more custom, or maybe let me take a step first. So
So I'll
Nadia,
break my question into two parts. It's not
yeah,
directly linked to Kunjani. So if as an organization I don't have Kunjani, I have an LMS. Firstly, how can I bring that into teams in a quick and easy way to make the most of my existing investment? And secondly, or maybe for Kunjani, if I add that to my L&D stack, how can that integrate? So
makes sense. Yeah, I think that's clear. So we do have a broad set of LMS, LXP, and enterprise learning apps on Team Store as on today, and we're working on bringing more onto our platform. And some of the marquee names from enterprise learning perspective, and I'll probably share the links on the chat, are already available on Team Store. So Cornerstone, Degree, Skillsoft, Edcast, all of these marquee names, which are typically used by enterprises. And I'm sure the audience here would also be using some of these products. They are already available on Team Store and it's good to go and they can start using it at the get-go. To answer your second question, which is scenarios where you have gamified learning, you have, let's say, employee engagement, you also want to do maybe some social engagement, social learning. That is where apps like Kunjani fit in. Now, in those cases, either a customer may be using an existing set of applications or new applications. I think depending upon the scenario that they have, and one example that Hans mentioned here, which is creating your own tech, you can bring in those into Kunjani, where you may have an existing set of maybe content or products that you're using, and we can look at bringing it as a deck within Kunjani. Or in cases of more nuanced products and scenarios, we can look at it at a case by case basis. But in both cases, we do have apps on Teams that can meet the customer requirements.
awesome. Thanks for that.
Hans, anything to add from your end, especially on the second bit? Hans, I think you're on mute.
Thank you, Classic. I think you hit the nail on the head. Nothing too much more to add. Kunjani's UVP focus is really on enriching the meeting and that live experience. And so from our end, Microsoft Teams actually plays the role of the LMS or your existing LMS, where and all the information that's shared and learned on a one-on-one basis in the LMS can then be brought to life in a Kunjani session.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks for
Thanks,
that,
Hans.
Harish. Back
Yeah,
to you.
thank you. Thank you so much, Hans. That was a really nice demo. I really liked the presentation as well. This is awesome.